little warm-up painting for you. A bunch of cherry tomatoes on the stem. That time of the year when we're getting them. I hope you are where you are. So how am I going to go about this? Well, I'm having a very limited palette. I'm making my green unripened ones with a cadmium yellow and cerulean blue. And the orangey for the tomatoes will vary in a degree with the cadmium yellow and the scarlet lake. And for the stalks and stems I shall use sap green. So very simple, very straightforward. So where are you going to start, Nicola? Good question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself the vague idea of a stem to start off with. So I've got somewhere to start. Right, this is just a number 6 ordinary brush. Let's see. So we're going to have, it's going to be a cluster on a stem. And it will have the small bunches, the unripened ones there, and the riper ones up here. So that is going to be my starting point. Just to get me going. Okay, so let's put a few little unripe ones on the bottom. And some of these can be quite tiny. So you can imagine that they've come off the stem. They've become separated from the main plant. So I'm imagining the shapes, the circles, and I'm leaving gaps so that I can put the stalks on and the stems and sort things out like that. So using very wet colour, let's put some more in there. I'm not too worried about which direction my light is coming from at this stage. I'm just going to pop some in, drop a bit more colour in. And I'm just rinsing off my brush slightly and just grabbing a bit of the orangey colour I have mixed. So I'm going to start, as these are getting further up the stem, getting bigger, they're becoming the riper ones. Right, I want to imagine one going behind. I'm not going to worry too much if my colours bleed or do anything like that. I'll have one there. Of course there's little ones coming off here as well. Right, now I want to increase the colour for the ripened one, so I've added more scarlet to the mixture of the cadmium and the scarlet lake. I'm not too worried about putting the little stalks in where it joins. Let's have a bit of colour in that, where it joins onto the tomato, because the sap green is a strong dominant colour, so it should paint over these quite well. Okay, let's increase that stem work. I'm just softening off the sap green with a bit of the blue cerulean with the yellow mixture I'd made. It's a bit too green. Actually, I'm going to take the edge off that green with a little bit of raw umber. When I say things like take the edge off, I mean take the brightness off. That's probably a better way of saying it. It's a bit too bright green. I expect there's a gardener out there who grows tomatoes and will tell me that they don't go like that, Nicola. They have different little stems and nodules, but it'll do for what it is at the moment. As I say, it's a warm-up exercise for you to just have a little bit of fun with and play with your colours. Discover new things as you go along. Now let's have another. Let's have a bigger one up here. So I'm keeping my eye on everything as I go round because I need some of this really wet puddles to dry off before I can add the stalks and things like that. Let's put that behind there. Let's have another one behind somewhere else, because they really are in little clusters. Drop some darker red colour in. Because remember, apart from you've got some coming off the sides, you've got some going down, growing down there and all sorts, so we can just sort of create little bits as we go along. Just for fun, because you can, because it's your painting. Okay, so now we're going to the sap green with some raw umber. Oops, hang on. No, that's Payne's grey. That's one a fairly strong colour. Okay, so now we can go into the little tomatoes and put some stalks and attachments. Oops, that's bled, never mind, no matter. And I'm just letting the brush do a lot of the marks. More intense. Just have fun with this bit. Oh, that's a nice one. Okay, I am just going to lift that bit of bleeding on. It's a bit too much for what I want. And I'm going to just soften that off as well. And you can go back on to make it a bit more intense. Just want to drop a bit more yellow in there. The blue cerulean is actually sort of separated out, which is interesting. So let's just put a little bit of shadow underneath somewhere, just to ground it. Make it look as if it's sitting on something. Now don't take forever over it, just have a little bit of fun. A bit of shadow in there because that tomato will be casting a shadow of some sort or other. That's on that one. I'm just going to zhuzh that up a bit more. That was actually a bit of sap green I dropped into that cadmium yellow. Decided it needed a bit brighter green. Play with it as you go along, make adjustments. Add more tomatoes. Change that shape, smooth it off a little bit. And then, because they're nice juicy tomatoes, you know what I'm going to do next. And just the teensiest, weensiest bit of a darker green. Just to add a tiny accent, definition. In fact, I'm going back to some of these stems and make them a bit darker. Just that little bit of definition. It's that little bit more of colour value, bit of dark to appreciate the light. That's better. And there you have it, a nice little bunch of partly ripened cherry tomatoes. So, let me see yours when you've done it.